What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Win podcast with your host, Aunt Ma, co-host Justin Vaseur, and welcome back, special guest, Christina
What's
Ma.
up?
I like having you here.
Yeah, I could tell from that giggle.
It's nice having my wife on the podcast. So, guys, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe on YouTube. We upload every Tuesday through Friday, and also our 1 hour episodes on Sundays, and on all podcast platforms. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, and anywhere else they listen to your podcasts. Those go up every Monday. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about should you buy a home for your kids?
Yeah.
And so this is something I've thought about for a long time because we are trying to invest in homes.
Right.
And obviously, our parents also have investment homes. And, when they're gone, obviously, they're going to be passing them down, right? And so do we want to do the same thing for our kids? I think right now, when we buy investment homes, obviously the cash flow is for us,
Right.
right? But I would love to buy an investment home that cash flows for them, not for them to keep, but for them for college, right? So we're going to save up that cash flow, put it into a bank account, and that's your college money, or another one that's like, if it's not college and they don't want to go, then you can use it to buy a business. But that's what I want to do. If I was to buy kids from buy kids, if I was to buy a home for my kids,
Okay, Wayfair.
it would be for that reason, to help with the growth of their life.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a safety net for them. Like, I wouldn't necessarily buy a house for them, but if it's something that we already have where we could pass it down to them later on, then I feel like that would probably be my ideal situation.
There's so many rich people that will never give their kids anything. I think Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis said they're not getting any of their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Even Shaq, right?
Well, right now he's making them work for it. He's like, if you want, he's like, you're not rich, I'm rich. That's what Shaq said to his kids. And then he said that if you guys want my money, then you need to get 2 degrees. Then he'll help them out. But obviously, he buys them cars and things like that, but he just doesn't give them money.
Yeah, I think even for Mila Kunis too, like I saw her on a talk show and then she was saying how she doesn't over gift her kids. So like for holidays and stuff, and this is kind of something that we're guilty of. Like we give them so many presents. Like even for Christmas, I was so overwhelmed because of the amount of presents that they had from us, from our relatives, from grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
But for them, they tried to just like limit it to like 1, 2, 3 presents like per occasion.
That's what we try to do. So like we got to the point where last Christmas, I was like, should we even be getting them gifts? Grandma and grandpa got them like 5 gifts each.
Yeah,
Dang.
you're the one that always
Me?
tries to get them a bunch of stuff. I try to
No?
tell him,
What do you
I try to
mean?
balance, because you're the spender and I'm the conservative one. So he's always like, I want to get her this. I want to get the kids this. Should we get that? I'm like, whoa, like chill out. Like
Yeah,
they
I mean, if
don't,
it's a bunch of-
need all these things.
If it's a bunch of small stuff.
Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're really big, and then they get bigger. And I'm like, I don't know if the kids deserve it yet, like I want them to be able to understand like earning things and not just having things being handed to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of rich people, they try not to like just give their wealth to their kids because they want them to understand like how important hard work is and like being able to earn that income rather than just having everything being given to you.
Man, I think a good example is the Murdaws.
I don't know.
You don't know about that?
No.
Murdaws are they are a family full of lawyers from generation to generation. I forgot what state they're in. Somewhere in the South, the Carolinas. It might be South Carolina. Don't quote me. But basically, it's like hundreds of years where these guys were lawyers in that town, and to where they own this entire big building. It's just been passed down. But basically, So this was just like last year, and then the dad, who's a lawyer, started committing crimes. He started stealing from the firm, and then all of a sudden he started murdering people.
Whoa.
And then at the end of it, he murdered his wife and his son.
Whoa.
And so, but throughout that whole process, you can see it on Netflix. And the sons, because they're given everything,
Mm-hmm.
they get drunk and party all the time.
Yeah.
And then when they get in trouble, they just call their dad to like get lawyer talks, talk to the cops, and they
Yeah,
get
they got away
everything.
with
They
everything.
get yeah.
I think even one of the sons too. I don't know if it was the one that he murdered, but he got really like intoxicated. He was drinking a lot and maybe under the influence of drugs. And then they had all their friends in the boat, and I think he crashed into something, and one of the girls flew off, and they couldn't find her. And then they ended up finding her like I don't know days, maybe a month later.
Did they find her?
Yeah, I think they found
Like
her.
passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
from
wow.
drowning.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't remember if they found her or not, but yeah, that was the one that got murdered.
Oh, okay. And I think
Yeah.
he murdered him eventually because of the troubles that came with that. So
It's just crazy, man. Like you just get messed up when generational wealth gets passed down like that.
Yeah, I think it's crazy too that people have this money. Like you would think
Mhm.
that they have all this money, life is good and blah blah, but there's still problems. You know what I mean? Everybody has their problems. Everybody has like things they're going through.
that's why they
Does
say more money, more problems, right?
does Trump's kids have problems?
I don't know. I mean, obviously it just depends too on how you raise your family.
Yeah, and how
But
involved you are as a parent too.
mhm.
Because what I did realize as well is that somewhere down your family tree, at some point, someone has money.
Mm-hmm.
And then it never reaches you because something happened. Like, so I think my grandmother, she was born in a wealthy family. By the time it got to my mom, it's all gone or something happens. Who knows? I don't know the story, but it has to restart.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like buying a home for your kids just really depends on what it's used for. And I think if we buy a lot for ourselves first, for our own investment purposes, then buy for the kids, it's cool. But there's a lot of people who just buy for the kids immediately.
Yeah, like when they turn 18, it's like, hey, it's your birthday. Here is a house. I don't want to do that
No, I
at all.
don't.
Yeah.
I
Do you think you're gonna? Would you rather have them save for a house from the beginning, or like just have them spend their money?
I want them to save for a
Mhm.
house or a business. And then when they save that amount, I want to be like, here you go. Here's some other stuff that I saved for you that you had no idea about.
Hmm.
So, like, I want them to learn the struggles of saving and go through all the hardships. And then when they get something, have that gratitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My parents did a cool thing with they were charging me rent to live in their house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then when I moved out, they were like, "This is all the rent that you paid."
Did they tell you that from the
What?
beginning?
No.
So you had
So
no idea.
I was taken back a little bit. I was like, "What?"
Wait, how old were you?
I was like 23, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a little bit older. Like I was down to help them out with rent and
Yeah.
everything because I was working. And then, yeah, when I moved out, they were like, "Here's a little extra money. Like this is all the rent that you paid us."
How
I
much
was
so
like,
money did you
crazy.
get?
I can't remember, but it was like a decent chunk.
What did you do with it?
I used it for my first spot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you actually used it for something useful.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because I think they also taught you responsibility
Yeah,
with
exactly.
you doing that. So instead
Yeah.
of using that money to spend on stuff like just random stuff, right? That wasn't as important. Like
Yeah,
you-
exactly.
I think now with this generation, we'll probably fuck it up. So we'll be like, we'll take that rent money and then we'll be like, you know what? Let's just not put it in the bank account. Let's just put it in the Tesla stocks.
That's
and then
you.
so then they'll make
Oh,
more
no.
money, right? So
Yeah.
when I give it to them, they'll be way better off. But then if something dips and you're like, hey, dude, I tried to get you more money, but I'm sorry. Here's half of what you paid.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't even have to say that because if you're already telling them that they have to be responsible for paying rent, like they already have it in their mind that like,
It's
oh, that
gone.
money's gone.
Yeah.
That's going towards me helping my parents with their mortgage. So
Yeah.
you feel good about that.
Yeah.
And then seeing that you're gonna get some of that money back, like
Yeah.
I would be like, cool, thank you.
No, I actually saw something on Instagram, and it was this little kid. He looked like he was 9 years old or 10 years old, and his dad was showing him like, "Look, this is what you do with your money." He put it into stocks for him, and it went to like I think $1,000. And he's like, and the kid got so happy, and he started understanding what it was what it was like to invest.
Hmm.
And then he's like, "Now, what do you want to do with this money? Do you want to turn this 1,000 into 10,000?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, keep investing it. And he was like 9 years old.
Yeah. I think like the whole generational wealth thing, I think it's not just building up your assets, it's also teaching your kids how to use it responsibly, right?
Yeah.
That's
Because like
true.
you can have all these assets and then they just sell it off and then buy a Bugatti.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they have no cash flow now. They
Well,
just have a Bugatti.
That's definitely what you don't want to teach your kids. Like, I don't mind if they sold the home for
Right,
something,
right. Yeah.
but what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to
Yeah.
buy some sort of other investment, or are you going to buy a home for yourself? That's cool too,
Yeah, of course.
but you can't just buy a depreciating asset
Yeah.
or liability.
Because I think that's where it goes crashing.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
know,
how
like
about
you
this?
said earlier, like you might have money trickle down, but then one generation wipes it out.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Should your kids buy you a home?
Yes. No, just kidding. Nah.
Like, so we were raised differently, right? When our parents who came from China were like, they're all about the freedom and a better life.
Yeah.
So they're teaching us, look, you can do whatever you want. This is America. But then when I have clients who are more traditional in the Asian culture, I have daughters who are in their early 20s buying a home for them and their parents
Yeah.
to live in together.
Mhm.
And I kind of wish my parents taught me that, where it's like, hey, you know, we should all live together, or we should, you know, save up your money to buy a house for whoever it is, you know. But it's just my parents were like, you can do whatever you want, do your own thing, just get a good job. So they were like never about keeping the family together.
Mm.
I think it really depends on the parents, because even for my family, like we grew up being really like close knit with our like relatives and stuff, and we were like super close as a family. But as we got older, I think you know, their views changed, and then you become adults, you have your own families and stuff, and then for them, just even thinking about trying to live together like in the same house, I think it stresses them out, because they're like, we don't want any conflicts, we don't want it to get complicated, because I feel like life is just so fast paced now, and there's so many restrictions and boundaries and different ways of living now that it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
So for the last 11 years, I've been telling my parents that I would pay off their mortgage. Like,
Mhm.
that's my goal. I want to buy them a home or pay off their mortgage.
Yeah, that's my goal too.
I don't want to live with them,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but I want to pay it off. And so I think and they didn't teach me that.
Yeah.
That's just me being like, hey, I think they deserve it because they raised me and worked so hard for me. They
Same.
literally did everything for me and my brothers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just like how we're doing everything for our kids. But, you know,
Yeah. I kind of have the mindset of like, I don't think my kids, like, I don't feel like they owe me anything.
They
Yeah.
don't.
And I owe them everything. You know
well,
what I mean?
then here's the difference. Like, I want to pay off my parents' mortgage, right? But because they didn't teach me about the family values of keeping it together and me fighting for myself, I ended up putting myself as a priority, myself and my own family, my wife and my kids. So I bought a home for us first.
I think
I think
that's
that's important.
yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
other people who are buying the home for the parents first.
I feel like those people who do that though, they're the ones who don't have families. Like they
No,
don't have.
They do have family. My clients, they're
Oh.
buying the home and the primary room is for their parents, and they're going to live in this little room until they want to move out.
But I feel like maybe the living situation is different. So their priority in doing that is probably because, oh, we want the grandparents together because they're gonna be able to help us with the kids. Does
Maybe,
that make
but they're
sense?
not
And
even
to
having
keep that-
boyfriends or girlfriends yet.
What do you mean?
My clients that I'm talking about, they don't even have boyfriends or girlfriends yet, so they're not even at that stage of thinking about grandkids.
I thought they had family.
Yeah, I thought they had a family.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about the two daughters and the parents.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like in that instance, because they don't have a family to worry about yet, that they're like, well, we do want to keep the family together. If we're going to get a
Oh,
house,
yeah.
why not just stick together?
I see what you're
right?
saying.
So it's
Yeah.
easier to be able to make that decision.
Well,
Yeah, because it's like maybe when I was 25 or something like that, it would have been cool to do something like that.
Yeah.
But now, when me and my girl are trying to build a family, that would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Not weird, but just
Oh,
like
yeah, I
would
get what
be
you're saying.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's like-
so they were 25
Okay.
and 26 or something like that.
Yeah.
One of them does have a boyfriend, and she's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll move back home while paying for the home for the parents.
Yeah.
So she didn't, she didn't have to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like as parents, like I wouldn't want the kids to have to stress about having any pressure about buying us a house, because I
Right.
feel like we would be established already and we would have our own place.
Yeah.
So I think with your parents, they probably just taught you to be more independent and that they don't need you to take care of them. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
think
mean?
my dad was just more worried about me being homeless
Yeah,
because he was homeless at 8 years old.
right.
So he doesn't want me to go through that. But I agree with you. I don't think I want the kids to ever pay for my mortgage or buy me a home, but I want them to be able to have access to that amount of money and reach that in their lifetime.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
I know some families guilt trip their kids too,
What?
like in the sense of like, oh, you need to take care of me when I'm older, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Oh
it's
yeah,
like-
that's true.
Well-
You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy too.
One thing that's mandatory is that they do have to take care of us when we're old because I don't want to be in a nursing home.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's just there's this like negative thing to it sometimes.
Yeah.
The way some families go about it.
It's like
Right.
you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
like,
you don't have a
to take
choice.
care
It's
of me.
like, bruh, like why are you talking like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
You
true.
know,
like-
like I want to take care of you, but now you're
Right.
being an
You're
asshole about
forcing-
it.
Yeah.
You know?
The last home that we bought in West Covina that had the ADU, that home, like I said, was going to be our 20-year home that we're going to live in.
Mm,
That ADU was being built for our parents
mm,
from when they retired and they can't live
Yeah.
on their own anymore. The ADU was for them,
mm.
and they didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
But while we were buying that house, I was like, yeah, this is for you guys in 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. We always find ways to take care of them at some point, and I hope the kids do that for us
Yeah,
too.
I think even when we were looking for homes, I don't know if it was this time or the time before, like the last house, but we were trying to see like, oh, should we get like a property with like 2 units on the land, right? So in case if my parents wanted to live there and stuff. But then I think my parents were like, I'd rather just be in our own place and stuff. But I feel like that's something we've always thought about, even though they didn't teach us, like, hey, make sure you get us a house or take care of us when we're older.
Yeah, I think it's just different. My dad wanted to, so he gave me a listing one time. This was like 15 years ago. He's like, there's this lot where we have to kind of drive up. There's like an encroachment, and we drive up this driveway. Then there's 3 more houses, and each house could be for my brothers, my parents, and for me. He's like, do you want to buy this with me so we can all live together? I was like, no. I don't want to
Yeah.
live next to you guys. One, I was like smoking a lot of weed at the time, so
Oh, yeah.
I want to have my own freedom, right?
True.
And I want to party. I want to bring friends over. I wasn't even having kids yet at the time, so I wasn't even married to you or even had you as a girlfriend yet. So I was still in my mid-20s, like 25. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to live with my parents.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather help with their bills or something than have them be like right next door.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that they're like it's a bad thing. It's
Yeah.
just
You want to
But-
have that independence.
yeah.
But now having kids and knowing that my parents are always out doing their thing, knowing that they won't be up all my business, I wouldn't mind having a duplex with them. Because yeah, we can send the kids over anytime we want or they can come over, but my parents are so busy that they're not even going to bother us.
Mm.
Oh, a lot to talk about in this episode. I think it was a really good one. I learned a lot from you guys. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know, should your kids buy you a home or should you buy your kids a home? What are your thoughts on that? Write it down in the comments. Even if you're not on YouTube and you're listening on Spotify, you can also comment on Spotify as well, guys. So next time, we'll see you on the next episode of The Next Win.